I really loved what you said about us being an international Sangha. It's just so thrilling to kind of join with you over the interwebs, the net of light, you know, from Australia, from the UK, from Japan, from America, probably from other places. It's also really nice, even if you don't turn your camera on or your mic on. I know you're there at the back of the class hiding behind everybody, and hello to you too. That's my special spot when I'm not out the front. So please feel comfortable to do that as well. So yes, we're on the second class, how and why to make offerings. And I just thought to recap from last week, which was about setting up an altar. So we've been watching these teachings with Geshe Zopa online on Sundays every week, teachings for the COVID pandemic. And he just mentioned about altars, that by having a beautiful altar, the Buddha is giving us an opportunity to make mountains of merit. And the more beautiful the altar, then the more skillful means that we have to be able to make merit, to become involved. And that having an altar and making offerings actually shows that you respect the Dharma. It shows how much you respect the Dharma. And not only that, then whoever comes to your Dharma center or your temple or your room where your altar is, and is drawn to your altar, they become a child of the Buddhas. So, I mean, isn't that just so wonderful? It's so inspiring. So we're going to continue on from last week, then the different types of offerings that there are, and what to offer, how to offer, how not to offer, and some of the, just a little touching on the really deep symbolic meaning of the various, you know, the main offerings that we can make. I'm going to do a little show and tell of how to do water bowl offerings, because that's something we can all do. Don't need any money to do it. It's really quite fun and it's very easy. And I do have a story about my hair and Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and Rinpoche's request about my hair right for the very end. So you have to stay to the end, okay? So let's set our motivation that the two wings of the bird, as Venerable Robina always says, and a very informal way of thinking about this. On one hand, we have curiosity. So may our curiosity grow. May we always enjoy our curiosity and research, all the way to developing ultimate wisdom. And kindness, may our good heart grow. Our purpose for being here is to really help ourselves and others in the very best possible way. So may our kindness grow all the way up to great compassion, bodhicitta. I'm going to get the screen share up now. And I really like starting with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, because everything starts with His Holiness. So here's this beautiful photo of His Holiness tending his altar. Mary, you can see it's a radial altar, this one, quite spectacular. A mandala in the middle, mandala set with the offerings and all of the jewels. The offering bowls around are part of the 5 kind of daily offerings, and what's quite nice about them is that they're double-decker offerings, and this is one of the keys to making your own altar look really spectacular, is having a bowl on top of a bowl. It's just one of those tricks. Double-decker offerings are the way to go, and really, really easy. So His Holiness tending the altar, there's a lot more going on than meets the eye. So the whole purpose of making offerings or being generous now is that, so we put in place the substantial causes for having everything that we need, all the resources, everything that we need for daily life, everything that we need to sustain our perfect human rebirth, all the resources that we need to be able to continue this Dharma path all the way to enlightenment. So, you know, the very basis, we need food, clothing, shelter, medicine. We need enough money and enough leisure to be able to pursue the Dharma. So making offerings is one of these practices for accumulating enough merit, for creating the karmic causes to have enough so that we can continue to practice. The Buddhas, they don't need our offerings. It's we who need to make the offerings. And so the purpose is not to please the Buddhas as such, but to transform our mind. So that's kind of in general, but in particular from a tantric perspective, when we make offerings from a tantric point of view, and most of you will have seen these offerings in pujas, for instance, that is a substantial cause for developing all the resources or enjoyments of a Buddha. So on the tantric path, you know, we have all the meditations that accord with wisdom to develop reveal the purity of the Dharmakaya, the wisdom side, the mind of a Buddha. But it's only in the tantric vehicle that is unique to develop all of the substantial causes of the form of a Buddha, because we need to be able to help others. So we need to manifest in a form. So part of that, there is the abode, the mandala, the great palatial mansion where the Buddhas live in their pure lands. There's the form, the light body, the rainbow body of a Buddha manifesting as Chenrezig or Tara or Manjushri. A humanoid aspect, as my friend Ben says, something that we can relate to because the Dharmakaya is way too subtle for us. The deeds of a Buddha, what does a Buddha do? He doesn't run around like a crazy chook with the head cut off. What a Buddha does is emanates lights, and as each light touches a sentient being, they're helped, they're purified, they're liberated, they're brought to enlightenment. So that's the continuous deeds of a Buddha, emanating and absorbing lights. The substantial cause for the enjoyments or the resources of a Buddha, everything that we need to be able to help others, comes from making tantric offerings. Offerings blessed by a deity, offered to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas on behalf of all sentient beings. And if we don't have an initiation, that's okay, because somebody else can do that on our behalf and we can participate. So that's the great beauty of having pujas, because there's somebody in the room that has the permission to do this practice and bless the offerings, and then we can all offer. So we can all make that merit. And that's part of the substantial causes for the Rupakaya, the form of a Buddha. So I'm going to start also with the Christmas windows. So cast your mind back to Christmas time. Maybe when you're a child and you saw in Australia, we have the Myers Christmas windows. I just remember being utterly transported into this other realm. Doll houses have the same kind of effect, this miniature, incredibly beautiful, alluring world. How magical. So actually an altar is like the Christmas windows of the Buddha. Everybody wants to come and have a look and stare and just go, wow. When we look at an altar, what our eyes are seeing is one thing, and our eyes are so, our eye sense consciousness is so dominant, so we're drawn to it. But what's really seeing is our mind, and what we're seeing is this possibility of a pure land, of a different way of existence from the ordinary, limited, mundane one that we have now. So as a result, then we aspire to the qualities of all the Buddhas. When we practice generosity, when we make offerings on our altar or to our gurus, it creates mountains and mountains of merit. Even just a casual glance towards an altar creates mountains of merit. And Rinpoche says so many times, just offering one flower creates mountains of merit, purifies eons of negativities. And there's something else about the Christmas windows and Christmas in general that I really love, because the real fragile, ephemeral beauty is especially of Christmas baubles. They're so delicate, aren't they? And why is this so alluring? because somehow there is a resonance with our perfect human rebirth. So beautiful, so rich, so fleeting, so fragile. So I think as we, we can make a special offering of Christmas baubles and really have it as this practice of gratitude and rejoicing about our perfect human rebirth and looking after it and using it in its best possible way. So Lama Zopa Rinpoche says also with our offerings, when we make offerings, we do it at Christmas time, at weddings. How many Christmas lights and bunches of flowers and cakes and things are offered at weddings? Birthdays, birthday parties, all of these kind of offerings, they're mundane offerings. They're just offered with this limited view, just to this one person, possibly with a hidden agenda on our part. And actually all of those offerings are the ordinary ones. They're a cause for samsara suffering. They just create more suffering, more clinging in inherent existence, more just involvement in just the mundane, what can I get from life? And we waste this incredible opportunity by making all those offerings and just making them a mundane offering just for a wedding or a birthday or a baby shower or whatever. We're actually using up our good karma. We're not creating any more. So what we can do instead, as we make all those offerings that we already do, then first we can offer to the Buddhas. We can offer for the benefit of all sentient beings. So if you have, for instance, a baby shower, it's not just for the baby to just piss away this life. It's may this baby's life be a perfect human rebirth. You know, it's like the good fairy godmother coming along. May you take the essence of this life. May you become liberated and enlightened in this very life. And that's why I'm giving the presents at the baby shower. So that way, then it becomes a cause of merit rather than just using up our all of our good karma of being able to actually have things to offer. So this leads me to, just as a little overview of the different types of offerings that there are. So I've done a little kind of infographic here for you. So we've got offerings, the main category. And you might have heard in the 7-limb prayer, I make offerings actually arranged and mentally emanated. So these are the two main categories of offerings. Actually arranged means physically existent. The things we own, the food offerings we make, our mandala set, what we put on our altar, what we give at the baby shower, what we give at Christmas time, the things that are ours that we own. And that's actually quite a small category. And if we don't have much money, we might feel a little bit depressed about that. But don't worry, because the other one is the unowned. So at Christmas time, we can offer every single Christmas tree in the world. It's already there. It's already set up for us. All the trees in people's homes, all the trees in the city square, all the trees in the shops enticing you to buy stuff, all of those lights, all the traffic lights, all the street lights, the net of light encompassing the world. We don't own any of that, but we can offer it. And then indirectly, everybody associated with those offerings also accumulates a little bit of merit. All those offerings, they're already there, organized. We don't even have to organize it. And we can use those offerings and make them. It includes all the flowers in the gardens, in public gardens, all the beautiful nature parks, everything. It's just extraordinary. Then we have the imagined offerings. So I put here a little picture. It's reminds me of Avatar. You know those floating lands? Avatar was incredible for visions of a pure land, of making things really beautiful. So all of the imagined outrageous offerings, the ones that are physically impossible. So part of my imagined offerings, I imagine whole skies full of clouds of chandeliers. And because it's imagined, they don't need a cord to be plugged in. You don't need an electrician. You can just have a chandelier floating in space all by itself, never goes out. How brilliant. The mentally emanated ones are also the bath offering that's imagined in the Shakyamuni Buddha Puja. So we may not necessarily have them. We have a basis of the offering, but what's going on in our mind is incredibly rich. And then there's ones called the Unexcelled Offering. So I put a picture here of a wish-fulfilling tree, you know, with all of the wish-fulfilling jewels on it. And these Unexcelled Offerings are offerings made by the Bodhisattvas. Wish-granting jewels, wish-fulfilling trees, probably some miracles. Unexcelled because nothing is higher than that bodhicitta motivation, supported by a direct perception of emptiness. So when we look at this, we can see that you know, there's a couple of levels of meaning in the sutra practice. There's what we're offering, and we remember the benefits, the physical things. In the tantric practice, there are many levels of meaning. At the very, very basic, what we have interpretive and definitive. Interpretive means, you know, we offer cupcakes and Christmas trees, kind of the more obvious. The definitive is the meaning, the deep symbolism within it. So when we offer Christmas trees and the lights, we're offering the light of wisdom. So it's got all the qualities in there. And so one draws us to the other. So Lama Zopa Rinpoche, so this is how he sums it all up. This is just a little paragraph from the Wish Fulfilling Golden Sun with our visualization. Think sincerely, we're making the offering, both physical and imagined. We can also offer the things that we don't have, trees, orchids, aeroplanes. We mentally offer the entire universe, all the planets, all the worlds, all the sense objects, especially the things we cling to, like our body and our friends. Offer the best quality, the greatest quantity, and with as clear a visualization as possible. Okay, so then if we go back to the Christmas windows, so imagine if instead of just kind of looking at these windows and going, wow, and wanting all that stuff, we just walk along and we just offer it all. Offering light in particular, they say is a special door of dependent arising to quickly complete the accumulation of merit and receive blessings. So that means if you wish for realizations, offer hundreds of lights. So when we're enjoying all these light offerings, it's just a little step in our mind to make the offering to all of our gurus, appearing the aspect of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, statues, scriptures, tankas, and remembering the benefits of offering. So here's the 10 benefits of making light offerings. So just imagine if we remembered these, you know, one becomes like a light in the world. One achieves the clairvoyance as a human. One achieves the Deva's eye. One receives the wisdom of knowing what's virtue and what's not virtue. So what to do, right or wrong. Oh boy, I wish I had that wisdom. One is able to eliminate the darkness of ignorance, the concept of inherent existence. One receives the illumination of wisdom, and even in samsara, one never experiences darkness. One receives great enjoyment and wealth. One is reborn in the Deva or human realms. One quickly becomes liberated, and one quickly attains enlightenment. So we all want the quick, short, easy way, don't we? So this is it, offering lights. And so when we offer, we think that these lights that are there are the actual ones. The ones also mentally filling all of space. They're all manifestations of one's innate awareness, Dharmakaya. So they're manifestations of your innate wisdom, the Dharmakaya. They fill the infinite sky, and then you offer to the gurus, the three rare sublime ones. So there's a beautiful practice, the Atisha light offering practice, and then at the end you dedicate, and this is a kick-ass dedication. May all the sufferings of the evil gone realms be ceased right now. May all the three realms of samsara be empty right now. May all the impure minds and obscurations be purified. May all impure appearances be purified. And may the 5 holy bodies of wisdom spontaneously arise. So the Atisha light offering practice, you can get it from the FPMT. It's really fantastic. The main prayer there is at the back, Atisha's prayer. So light offerings, that's number one, what we should offer. And even if we don't have an altar, when you go into your room and you flick that light switch on, make it a light offering. If we just flick the switch on, we're using up our good karma. If you flick the switch on and you go, by me turning on this light, may I bring the illumination of wisdom to the minds of myself and all sentient beings, blink. Suddenly you're making mountains of merit. Okay, so now what to offer? So here's this is a photo from Lama Tsongkhapa Day. You know, just recently we had the 600th anniversary of Lama Tsongkhapa. How amazing. So I really wanted to make special offerings. So in front of Rinpoche here, I wanted to do like the 5 wisdoms. So we've got the 5 color wisdoms of the Kata, and a similar offering like how we do in long life pujas or when the gurus come and teach. So we have the holy text, offering a text. So that's the speech. We've got the body here of Medicine Buddha with the blue, and the mind a stupa. Then as well, the mandala offering. And because it's Lama Tsongkhapa Day, the Dharma chakra, turning the wheel of Dharma. The Tibetans love to have everything wrapped in brocades and katas. They don't like what's called nude statues or naked statues. So that's why everything's all wrapped up, just like a Russian icon with just the face showing. So we just do, you know, how you like. So what to offer? Light, always. And it represents 2 things. One is wisdom, the illumination. So as Rinpoche says, the darkness is dispelled. It doesn't go anywhere. It just is completely dispelled. The steadiness of the flame also represents long life. So we're really lucky because we have electricity. So perfect long life, so easy. Flowers. Flowers represent our virtues, past, present, and future. The flourishing of our virtues and compassion. And they also help us appreciate impermanence, don't they? Because we're used to flowers, then, you know, the fresh flowers rotting, and it doesn't freak us out. So it's a way of remembering impermanence. It's a really good practice. Offering food. The benefit of offering food is so that we can generate realizations and always have the nourishment of the Dharma. Offering incense, that beautiful smell. So if we offer the incense sticks, the sticks go on the altar, but you don't light them, because if you light them, then you're also offering ash. So the smell of the incense, and that represents morality or our ethics, pure ethics, a beautiful environment. Wrap everything in a kata, and when you offer, Rinpoche says at the minimum, bless with Om Ahum. So a white Om, a red Ah, and a blue Hum, absorb into the offerings, purify them, multiply them, and then we offer. So as you're putting them, you can just be reciting Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum. Or you can be singing your head off. Om Ahum. You know, Sing like no one's listening, as long as you're saying Om Ahum. And that dispels any of the, what they say, the spirits hanging around on the offerings. Our modern day way of interpreting that may be to think all of our doubts, neuroses, procrastination, everything that pulls us down, it dispels it. If we forget to do that, often what happens is sleepiness in teachings, forgetfulness, and depression. So this is a very easy way to guard against that as well. Now, what not to offer. So I'm sharing some deep, dark secrets here. Here's a picture of me and Pearly in our early 20s. So Pearly's probably the longest member of Lungri Tangpa Centre. She's been a member for about 34 years. So when we lived in share houses and flats together, you know, we're incredibly poor, drunks, starving artists, and occasionally we'd get it together to do Tara Puja together at home. So this is a little bit of a staged photo, right? We weren't quite this bad. At least we knew how to stage it to look really atrocious. So we put our shoes in there. We're sculling some champagne from a bottle or from a jar, not offering incense, offering cigarette smoke instead. We've got our offerings on the floor, like it's just a worst nightmare scenario. We've got the 21 Taras right up there, level with some frogs. Like everything's wrong. So this is how not to do it. One of the things not to do, I think I mentioned this last week, don't offer all the flowers picked from other people's gardens that you've gathered on the way to the Dharma Centre and then go, here, I've got some flowers for the altar, because they're not ours to offer. Not only are they somebody else's flowers from their garden, but there's also all the beings that live on those flowers that you've taken them without asking. And so that's going to distress their minds. It's a really easy one to do, because you just think, oh, well, no one noticed, because our ethics are based outside of us like that. If no one sees us, it's okay. But it's going to cause a lot of disturbances for us. Don't offer leftovers or broken bits. You know, if you're going with gifts to visit somebody, for instance, and you give the people the very best and the ordinary stuff to the Buddhas, the very best goes to the Buddhas and the ordinary stuff to the people. After you've offered to the Buddhas, half an hour later, then everybody can have the good stuff. But many times people will come and they'll get special gluten-free this, that, whatever for all the people. Put all this emphasis on offering to the humans and forget why are we offering this? We're offering to the Buddhas. The very best goes to the Buddhas. Yeah, don't offer cigarette smoke. So if you do have an altar in every room and you're a smoker, you're in real trouble here. So at least that may help you break the habit of smoking, because you absolutely must go outside to smoke. Offering cigarette smoke, also because it has such a terrible historical background of so much suffering and slavery and abuse. And bastardization of a ritual, that if we offer cigarette smoke, all of that comes along with it. So it's very fraught. If you've bought some shopping to offer and then you change your mind, oh, I'm a bit hungry, I've just absolutely got to have dinner now, you still got to offer to Buddha first. You can do it very, very quickly, but never kind of what you've decided to offer, then change your mind and take it back again. So that also kind of includes what you put in your mandala set. If you put some jewels in your mandala set, you can't take them back out again, because they're not yours anymore. You've offered them already. They're the Buddhas. They're all sentient beings. And don't offer alcohol, knives, sharp things, weapons. So when you have a cake in the gompa, you don't take a knife into the gompa to cut the cake. You take the cake out of the gompa to cut it. If you're offering roses, you've got to cut the thorns off so that you're not offering like a double-edged sword kind of thing. All of this is a mindfulness practice for us to really start reflecting on our own behavior. So there's a couple of, and the last one, don't offer arguments. Absolutely, positively cannot have an argument in a Gompa. And if you are having a disagreement with someone, take it outside physically. Absolutely remove yourself from it, because once we desecrate that space like that, it's very difficult to come back from it. No harsh words, no arguments, no matter what. So, you know, even though this is my background here, what not to offer, I can confidently say that I've never had an argument in a Gompa, and I've never said a harsh word to someone at Lungri Tangpa Center on purpose, like retaliating. I've just never done it. The whole 24 years that I've been here. I have had things come out of my mouth rough that I've had no idea they've come out because I just blurt things out. But that kind of an argument, there is just an absolutely impenetrable wall. It will not come through. So that the result of that for me means that I've got confidence in myself. I can trust myself. And so I'm a relatively safe person to be with, even though the stuff I blurt out in an unskillful way may have, a temporary bit of shock value, but I'm confident that I've never offered an argument or disharmony. That's a really good thing to offer your guru. So here's an altar setup. We've got very limited room here at Lungri Tangpa Center. So this is our Nyungne altar setup. Everything's shoved there on the altar. We've got little offering bowls, and so you can see they're double-decker ones. So we've got, say, the rice here, and this is the perfume one, a perfume bottle inside the rice. We've got a light offering, then with a crystal little bowl with the light. What else? Oh yeah, the flower's not quite double decker. So you can kind of see it elevates them. When what I forgot to say about what not to offer, there's a when we're doing but we don't know how, even if we stuff it up, it's better to make those offerings. We might create confusion in our mind, but on whole, the Buddha wouldn't have given us a practice that is going to harm. So this means we can have confidence in our offerings to really just do the best that you can, and the Buddhas will be happy. Don't worry about stuffing it up. However, if we know how to make offerings, knowing but not doing, that's far worse. Because, and this is what Geshe Zopa said just the other day, it's a bit like misusing antibiotics, kind of knowing or taking them but not taking them properly. And so what it means is that the power to make offerings starts waning, and we become resistant to it. So we know we become resistant, we start procrastinating. It's like a slippery slope. So there is a real great danger in underestimating the power of offerings. And, we get so stuck, don't we? So the thing is to remember, it's better to just do them and think of it as a work in progress. Of course, Rinpoche loves sticking lights on everything. So we have our little flashing fairy lights. Part of the offerings also that you would have seen at puja are what are called the tormas. And there are different ways to make tormas. Here at the Nyungne, we've just got piles of honey, jars of honey, and I've got little, those little bows that you put on presents, because there's 3 tormas, one to Chenrezig, one to all of the entourage, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and one to the protectors. And so I've got them as like 3 different colored things on the lids. When you do your own retreat, you can just have a jar of lollies that you put a new lolly in each time. The thing is to keep them really clean. If you can, though, you can make proper tormas. So this isn't quite a legit torma. This is us. This is Pearly at our 30th anniversary party with an enormous cake with sparklers on it, based on the Swampanough Stupa. It's got 12 chocolate cakes inside, covered in icing, auspicious symbols stuck all over it, propheties as the grounds and paths up on the spire, and a 30 for our 30th anniversary. So that was wheeled out with great fanfare as a kind of a homemade torma offering cake. Up here for I think this might have been Patara Puja. We made our own tormas out of oats, and the decorations are out of marzipan. So they kind of started melting in the Queensland humidity. They were very hard to make detailed. So this is our attempt. And here are the wonderful ladies that made them, Laura and Helene. Laura, who's now Lungri Tampa director, Helene, who's our resident artist. And these are the offerings here in the fridge so that they don't melt overnight. So we only just started making these. Generally for highest yoga tantra pujas and things, you make them red and white. For lower tantra, so for medicine Buddha, you'd make them the cream color, just natural colored oats and white. Of course, Venerable Rabina says anything for like Guru Puja, offer pink and fluffy. So anything in the white, pink, red, fluffy, delicate, delicious, gorgeous. So that's why we've got Lindt chocolates there as well. And here's us just a year ago, just over a year ago, learning how to make the tormas with Geshe Zopa. So as you can see, there's some little ones. There's a tiny little one here, Laura making tiny little one, all very different ones. Geshe Zopas, he just like miraculously did them so perfectly, so beautifully. And he was incredibly encouraging. Everything that people did, he said, oh, good, wonderful, fantastic. So no one was scared. The thing about making offerings is we're not judged by the art. We're not judged by our skill. We're judged by our heart. So we can't take that worldly dharma and put it onto the offerings. Whenever we're painting, whenever we're making offerings, it's not about the outer appearance. It's about what's happening in our heart. So that too should give us huge amount of confidence. So this is then the tormas at the end. So you can see all really different. We all had the same instructions, and yet everybody did totally different. Tiny little ones. I think there's one over here somewhere that his arms are up like this. This is what it reminds me of. I love these little guys, the minions. I just think the tormas, they're like divine minions. You know, instead of going banana, they're going om gate gate, paragate, parasangate, bodhisattva. So, you know, yeah, we've got to keep the tradition clear. Absolutely. And the Tibetan Buddhist tradition with all of the meanings behind the tormas, and each of these shapes has a deep and profound meaning. So we keep that tradition clear, but also if you know that tradition, then you can riff on a theme. There's no danger in that. Then you can do the best that you can. So sometimes we can't make those little white things sticking out, the little round circles. So we get those decorations from weddings where it's a gold circle on a stick and we stick them in. So as long as you know what the basis is, then just like with art, then you know how to break the rules without being a danger to the tradition. So these tormas, there are different types of tormas. Some are special food offerings, special ritual cake, and they are made for the purpose of generating realizations. Others are tormas, which is like embodying the deity or capturing the deity in this sacred shape. And you invite the deity into the torma, and they're the ones that have the little photo of the deity on the top with a little umbrella. And then you see them as being the actual deity right there in the room. So they become power objects. Now we have the two types of water bowls. So I'll whiz through these ones now. Two types of offering bowls. One type are what are called the Tantric Offerings, and the other type are what are called water bowls. So these Tantric Offerings, to make them at your own home, you need permission, because you need to have had the initiation, because it is a deity that makes these. But at a puja or a retreat, as long as somebody there has the initiation and has generated as the deity and generated these offerings and blessed them, then everybody can make the offering. At home, you'd usually set them up as you do that particular practice and then pull them down again, unless you do the sadhana every single day, in which case you probably have them up every single day. These Tantric offerings, what you offer, Agam Pajam, the two waters, water for drinking, water for washing. Pupe, flowers. Dupe, incense. These are incense sticks all tied up in the 5 wisdoms. Aloke, light. Gyende, perfume. Nuade, food. Shabda, music. You can see these offerings, the double-decker ones, they're so nice, aren't they? A bowl within a bowl. Instead of with rice, they've got jewels, because that's what the rice represents. So with a Tantric offering, you have the basis of the offering, which are the waters and flowers and everything. But actually what you're doing is transforming these, the basic things, into transcendental offerings. So they're blessed with samadhi, mantra, and mudra. Concentration, mantra, and mudra. They're in the nature of emptiness. They are made of light, inexhaustible, cannot degenerate, perfect, pure. And their sole purpose is to generate great bliss in the minds of the Buddhas. So, you know, the purpose of food for us is to make us not hungry and keep on, you know, keeping this body alive, but it turns into poo after a while. When we offer food here, it's not like that. It's made of light, it's perfect, it's pure, in the nature of emptiness. So we've transformed this kind of base substance into something really extraordinary. With the water bowl offerings, we're just offering water. We're not transforming it into something else. It's wonderful. We offer water and we think of all the qualities that water represents. And we can think that as we're offering the water, we are offering oceans of nectar. But this is a sutra practice, the water bowl offerings, which means everybody can make them. Actually, you don't even need to be a Buddhist. You can make water bowl offerings to whatever your object of refuge is. Venerable Rabina often says making water bowl offerings is like having the Buddha to tea. And how could you have a cup of tea first before offering to Buddha? So usually you have 7 bowls, and it's to represent the 7 limb practice. So that very basic fundamental lam rim. You offer each day. So you can offer in the morning and then pull them down in the evening. Lama Zopa Rinpoche, though, he likes us to have them 24 hours. So you offer in the morning, 24 hours go round, then you empty them and re-offer them. And why? Because when Rinpoche does his water bowl offerings, he offers all the bowls throughout the world. So the unowned offerings, the ones in your house, Lama Zopa Rinpoche is offering. Isn't that amazing? The shape of the bowl should be wider at the top than at the bottom. It can be beautiful wine glasses like this, but it can't be brandy glasses. The best ones to offer are things like this. So these little teacups, because they're wider at the top than the bottom, they've got a little lip, which means when you're pouring, they don't drip. The other is something from IKEA. I don't know if you have IKEA in whichever country you're in, but these are fantastic, because if you're clumsy, They're really thick, and if you accidentally drop them, they don't bust into smithereens. And if you're a bit boisterous with cleaning them, they also don't shatter in your hand. So in terms of safety, they're really excellent. It's better to have bigger bowls than smaller ones. So this size is probably the smallest that you want to get to. Lama Zopa Rinpoche likes to purify them with incense. So you turn them upside down, you have the incense on the inside to as offerings to the Deva's city. And I always think of, you know, those tiny little mermaids you used to be able to buy at the back of comic books. You know, the mermaid creatures. I always think they're all in there. So the 8 qualities of water: cool, delicious, light and soft, clear, odorless, easy on the throat, and kind to the stomach is the water with the 8 properties. So that's in your notes, I think. So when we are offering, let me see if I can get this little something I prepared earlier. I found a stand. So when you get your offerings, you have them upside down. When they're empty, upside down on the altar. So you're not making an empty offering. That's kind of inauspicious. So upside down like this. And then when you clean, 3 times clockwise, 3 times anti-clockwise. So clockwise, cleaning away all the disturbances of sentient beings, cleaning away all the COVID, all the negativities of politicians, you know, whatever it is, cleaning it away. Then 3 times anti-clockwise, drawing forth all the qualities of the Buddhas, bringing all the qualities of the Buddhas, body, speech, and mind for all sentient beings. Don't know if you can see. So then you set them up left to right. Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum. So I'm not going to have enough room to do all of them here. I'll have to do them in a little circle. And then when you've done all the cleaning, you get your jug of water. If you drink bottled water, you're going to have to offer bottled water. If you drink tap water, you can offer tap water. But you can't have good bottled water for me and just tap water for the Buddha. There's something kind of not quite right about that. So you get your first bowl and you fill it up almost to the top and you put the jug down and then tip just about everything into the next bowl. There's a tiny little bit left. So as you're doing this, you're thinking Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum, and you're thinking this is like your mind stream from life to life. You know, just like you light a candle to light a candle to light a candle. So this is, in all my lives, may I always meet the Dharma and be this close to my Guru. So as you set it down, not touching, but just that close. May I always be that close to my Guru in every single life. So by the time you get to the end, you've got a little bit in all of the bowls. Then you can arrange them really nicely. Rinpoche says, try and do it without making any noise or anything like that. I'm a bit of a barbarian. Then you get your jug with both hands and you fill them up. Om Ahum, 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 Om Ahum. So it's very nice to be able to do it without noise and without breaking the skin on the top. Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum. And you might notice that some are very full, some are not so full. It's a little bit like a thermometer about the state of your mind and your concentration. Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum. And you think of those 8 qualities of water. Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum. So you kind of fill them up till a little bit from the top so that when you come to empty them, you can empty them okay. Then you can offer. Then you do your 3 prostrations, then you sit down. 24 hours go round. When you empty them, you go from the right to the left. And remember, don't stick them like this, stick them upside down. And then with the water, so you can make it special thing, you know, it's been on the altar. You can drink it. You can offer to your pets. You can put in a really nice place in the garden. It's entirely up to you. So Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he has this huge practice for making water bowl offerings. If you get taught by a Geshe, it's very pragmatic and simple. So you can find your level, what is going to suit you, so that you're not intimidated by it and it's a really joyful thing. And I mean, the main thing about water bowl offerings is that it gentles the mind. And especially if you suffer from anger, frustration, short-temperedness, impatience, this is the practice for you. That clarity, because, you know, remember the analogy of our mind. It's always agitated, isn't it? So it's not that we have to put an anti-agitation pill in there. We just stop the agitation and let our mind go back to its natural state, calm and clear, just like the water. Okay, so am I going to get through it? Aha, okay. So last little thing, just for a couple of minutes before we open up for questions. The story about my hair and Rinpoche. So what else we can offer is our practice, our passions, our life. Lower scope practices are all about kind of putting in the antidotes, removing our weaknesses, refraining from negative actions. But higher scope practices, the Mahayana, is about developing our qualities, bringing forth all of our qualities. In colloquial speak, that means playing to our strengths. So what happened, this is a picture of me, I don't know, in my maybe late 20s. I was at Lungri Tangpa Center already, and I think it was probably the visit, Lama Zopa Rinpoche coming to Lungri Tangpa Center. So as you can imagine, a huge amount of organization. And so I get this phone call as part of all of our organization, this real bogan voice. So how's it all going with the preparations? And I'm like, oh, I don't know who this is, some lunatic ringing up about Rinpoche. And I'm like, oh, it's going okay. So you're ready for Rinpoche? And then it dawns on me, oh my gosh, it's Venerable Roger. And he just hasn't said who he is. And he's got this strine, Aussie strine accent. Anyway, so he's in the car with Rinpoche, and Rinpoche's he's relaying what Rinpoche is saying. And Rinpoche's asking, so Miffi, what colour's your hair now? So I think it was half black and half white at the time, or black with a green fringe or something, can't remember. And so Rinpoche's like, oh, okay, so Miffi, what I want you to do, and this is like my direct instructions from the Guru, I want you to pile your hair up really high with a kata and put all sorts of 8 auspicious symbols inside and all the goddesses, and have the 5 wisdoms coming out. Can you do it? And I'm like, yes, of course I can. And Roger's going, oh yeah, you sure? You're right. Okay, so then, so what I managed to do in amongst doing all of the things. So here's the 5 wisdoms. I stuck the ribbons in of the 5 wisdoms, put my hair all up, got these kind of chopsticky things. And you can kind of see here, they're a little bit like flat Christmas baubles. So on one side is auspicious symbols, and on the other side I put hologram wrapping paper. And then I got this some paper and made like a fan and wrapped the kata around it, so it's stuck up like a Spanish mantilla. And so rocked off to the airport, and so then offering my hair to Rinpoche, a bit of fake hair in there as well, and some fake pigtails, I think, and offered the kata. And so then, of course, this is what happened. Everyone just totally cracked up, including Rinpoche. So, you know, it was so joyous and it was so easy. So this is Rinpoche, how to play to our strengths, what you naturally do. Don't stop doing it. What you love doing, if you love crochet or whatever it is, speeding cars, turn it into a Dharma activity. and then you can make merit. Okay, so I have totally gone on. Tell me, what questions do you have? Wave at me if you have a question. Francesca, go for it.
Yeah, I've always got questions. So when we're putting the water bowls down, you know, like you did in the circle there, do we actually have to go Argan, Padyan, Gende, Bupe,
No,
or you only do?
Water bowls are different from tantric bowls, 2 types. So the tantric bowls, you set up the 2 waters, flowers, incense, water, perfume, food. You set them all up. You still say Om Ahum when you're setting them up. With the water bowls, you're just putting water. You still say Om Ahum when you're setting them up. But the tantric bowls have this extra thing of then when you sit down, the tantric bowls are just the basis for the offering. It's in the meditation that they become tantric offerings. So they're blessed by mantra, mudras, and concentration. So physically, when you're setting them up, you always say Om Ahum, but how they offer, because they're different types of offerings, it's a little bit different. So with the water bowls, pretty much once you've put them on the altar, the offering is done.
So if you've had a tantric initiation, but you're not doing a tantric sadhana that day, you can just do ordinary water bowls, or
that's right.
But if you're doing a Kali practice, you do a tantric bowl offering.
That's it. Yep. So you might have 2 sets out. So many of the geshis, they'll have the water bowls there every day. Then when they do whatever tantric practice it is, they set those bowls up like a pop-up altar, and then at the end they take them down again. It depends how much space you have. Yes, Mary.
There's 2 questions in the chat. Daryl has a couple questions, and so does Allison.
Okay, can you read the ones from the chat for me?
You bet. Sorry about that. So Daryl's question, when picking flowers from our own garden, how can we do it kindly for any insects that may be living on them?
So it's not just insects that are living there, but in our garden, there's probably devas, there's, nature spirits, there's the form and formless beings. So our gardens are quite a special place. So when we pick them, just go gently, blow off any insects, but think that we are offering on behalf of everybody else who lives in our garden. So that offering comes from them. It comes from the worms, it comes from the nature spirits, it comes from the formless beings, and from the devas and everyone.
And Allison's question is, can I offer things I make, such as a knitted jumper, before passing it on to who it was?
Yes, in particular. So this is what I do with my crochet. So as I'm crocheting, then I'm trying to, think of Dharma things and make special dedications, so that once you complete something, first you offer to the guru. In your mind, you offer all of the energy and the practice to the guru for the benefit of all sentient beings. And then when you offer it to the person, then it's not just an ordinary offering, but you go in your mind, even if you don't say it so they don't freak out, by giving you this jumper, may you have the cloak and protection of the Dharma, the protection and kind of refuge of the Dharma. May you be protected by the 3 higher trainings. May you, as you put on the jumper, step into the footsteps of the Buddha. You do all of these dedications, so that when that person gets that knitted jumper from you and they pick it up, they're inexplicably happy. So actually, I don't have a photo here, but I did make a huge crochet blanket for my friend. I'm her godmother, Buddha mother, and asked Lama Zopa Rinpoche to bless it. And so it was a bit long, and he said, "Oh, good," because that's like a long life. And then he blessed it by saying the mantras and blowing on it. So that physical, the breath with the mantras, and we too can do this, especially after doing our meditation practice, especially after puja, or reciting mantras, to blow on water or blow on the thing that you're knitting. And then the mantra is on the breath, and it blesses that offering, that physical thing. And then that physical thing can become really beneficial and healing. Okay, what other questions?
There's one more question from Allison. Miffi, are there any flower colors we should leave off the altar?
Oh, yeah. So now you can put anything that you like on the altar, but traditionally there is a thing about not offering red flowers to the guru, and certainly not offering red and white flowers to the guru, because the red and the white represent the fundamental drop, the subtle mind at the heart. And when the red and the white parts of the drop split, that's part of the death process. So if you offer red roses with baby's breath, it's counted as really inauspicious, because it's kind of like offering the death process to the gurus. That is a cultural thing. It's not a Buddhist thing. It's a you know, a cultural thing from Tibet, and it has that kind of meaning. So it's a way for us to train our mind. So if you're aware of it, it's good. If you've got red and white flowers, then just put in some yellow ones as well, and it's all okay. That said, as I was going back through all my photos, and I was looking at all the things that I was wearing at Long Life Pujas. So the one, you know, with my hair up there, I was wearing black with pink flowers. You're not supposed to wear black to a Long Life Puja. And everyone said, oh, Miffi, bad, you're wearing black. But I'm like, no, I'm not. It's got pink flowers on it. Anyway, it's all perspective, isn't it? So then the next year I saw the photo of the next year and I'm wearing pink. But I've got this picture of a circus and someone being mauled by a lion on the back of my coat. I'm like, what was I thinking? Anyway, so clearly inappropriate all the way through. You just do the best you can as a barbarian. Okay, we've got 1 minute. Any other last questions? Wave at me.
There's one more question from Daryl. When we have incense on the altar, are we able to take it off and light it in the room, or should it stay on the altar once it has been offered?
So with the incense, you can arrange the incense in a nice way. So sometimes it's just like these, the inseparability of method and wisdom, or like this, or sometimes you might have lots and lots of them all crisscrossed like that, or you might have them all bound up in the 5 color wisdoms. So if they're not lit, they go on the altar as a representation of an offering. When if you're going to light incense, you just have the bowl on the floor. You light a new stick of incense. You still leave your representational one on the altar, but you light the new stick that's on the floor, and so the incense wafts up. And so what you're offering is the beautiful smell. Yes, Mary.
Mary Mogenberg, our spiritual program coordinator, kindly posted the course notes and the slides in the chat. The materials are also on the TNL website, but they're conveniently posted in chat.
Okay, great.
I think Susie might have a question. I think, Miffi.
Oh, yes, Susie.
Oh, hi, thank you. This is so joyous. Thank you so much. My camera cut out, so I'm still a bit confused about water bowls. I'm so sorry. So I did have 7 and now I've got 5, and I pour water into the flowers that I have and light an incense, which I won't light the incense anymore.
Yeah. And I do light the incense, but just don't have it on the altar. Just have the incense somewhere else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, with the smell. Yes, I'm just trying to process that you just said that.
And we still offer flowers and food and all of those things, but that's what we're offering. They're not the tantric ones. They're the 5 daily offerings that we're making, and they're really important. The light, incense, flowers, food, water.
But I need 7 bowls, not 5.
Actually, 7 is great because it reminds us of the 7 limbs. But if you've got 5, that's okay. If you've got 3, that's okay. If you've got one big, beautiful bowl with a lotus floating in it, that's okay as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, whatever is going to fit on your altar.
Can I ask a question, Miffi? It's Robina.
Oh, beautiful Robina. Yes, you can. Still none here.
I was sneaking in my casual clothing. I didn't have my pajamas on, so it's okay. But listen, I want to explain to you, I have to tell you, Miffi, I have never heard that teaching on the 8 sutra bowls in my entire universal life. And I only ever give it as the Agam Pajam Pupe Dupe. But then I give the teaching that I've learned. It's all I've learned. Miffi knows a lot more than I do. I tell you, I was having a most fascinating time listening to Miffi. I could never tell you about all those traumas. But I've only ever learned from the very beginning, from the tantric ones, that when a teacher came to Tibet, because he said that the water in Tibet was so pure that instead of having all your fancy offerings on the actual altar, you would have water instead and imagine them as those 8 cents offerings. And then anytime I've ever, like for example, Susie, when she took refuge, and I give people to learn how to do the water bowls, I only tell them about the tantric one. I've never heard of those 8 in my entire life, so I've learned something new. So thank you very much. So Susie, I'm sorry to have confused you, because I've only ever known the tantric ones, and you make the offering. So there you go, you see. So
It's a very good point, Venerable Rabina, because so the water bowl
that's how
offering.
Lama Zopa does it as well. Lama Zopa, I've never heard that from Lama Zopa. When you read his instructions in his preliminary for people, he only ever gives the tantric ones as water, as giving water.
Yes.
But let's say, for example, in his house, where he's got hundreds of water bowls, I think then it would be just regular water.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the 8 cents offerings. That's, I think,
When Rinpoche makes offerings, he always teaches from a tantric perspective, and not just lower tantra, but he always teaches
Exactly.
from a highest yoga
that's
tantra
what I've
perspective.
heard about. But he's, yeah,
Everything like that.
that's right.
The water bowl offering comes from a teacher, and it's just offering water, and that's all there in Pabonka Rinpoche.
Really? Well, there you go.
And
so I forgot it.
because Rinpoche, like he taught the offering bowls to my mother, she only ever had tantric offering bowls.
That's all I've ever heard.
What's happened, us Westerners have conflated the two. And so we offer water and transform it into flowers and incense and whatever.
No, but that's from my teacher. That's the teaching I learned, was the water in Tibet was so pure. That a teacher, in order for us not to be attached to our divine offerings on the altar, he said it's better to offer water and then to visualize the tantric offerings.
Well, Venerable, with greatest respect, I'd like to see your sources. Because this is so funny. This is my standing debate with Nick Rebush about this.
Well,
where's the source?
Nick and I have heard the same teaching then, obviously. That's the only one I've ever had. I've never heard of that 8 business, ever.
Yeah.
Never. So there you go. So clearly Miffi's got a very specific point here. It's very good. So anyways, people I've told about the 8 other ones, don't get confused. So maybe you take Miffi's advice instead of mine. She's more knowledgeable.
Well, it's like we've got 3 kind of things happening. So the Geshis will say, why on earth offer water and transform it into flowers? That's ridiculous. Offer flowers and transform it into all the qualities of virtue.
Well, I've never heard that.
You're going to transform.
I've never heard that.
And when you offer water, you're offering water instead of offering gold or all of these things, because you can't have pride when you offer water. So it's got the potential to be a really pure practice. But you see, because I've had a lot more of my background has been the Tantric Grounds and Paths course with the Geshe, it's quite different from Rinpoche's approach. And Rinpoche's approach really, it's always highest yoga tantra. It's there, it permeates everything, and we are so blessed by that. So I would go with what Venerable Rabina says of making the tantric offerings, because that's where the most merit comes. And as long as somebody with the initiation has blessed them, then everybody can offer. That's why we have pujas and why we practice together. So thank you so much, Venerable Rabina, for dropping in and keeping me on my toes.
I think anyway, she's great. I knew her when she had blonde hair.
that actually came out of my head, that color. So let's dedicate, everybody.
Okay.
And let's dedicate that by making offerings, that we enjoy the practice, that we can have an abundance of resources so that we can practice the Dharma all the way to enlightenment, so that we can make our gurus happy, and so we can use all of our sense enjoyments in the service of the Dharma for sentient beings. May we accumulate the cause for limitless resources of a Buddha. May we offer everything that we love and that we're attached to, and actually transform it into this energy of bodhicitta, to become enlightened, to lead all sentient beings to enlightenment, and to share all the delights of a Buddha with everybody. So thank you so much. I hope to see you next week. Next week is going to be on short mandala offering and a little bit about mudras.